3 months. 3 months of this year are already gone. And I need you to be honest with yourself right now. Not with me, with yourself. Where are the goals you set in January? The gym routine you were finally going to stick to. The money you were going to start saving. The thing you've been saying you'll build when you get around to it. Where are they? Because I already know the answer. You moved the goalpost. You told yourself it's fine. You said you'd get back to it. You won't. Not with the approach you've been using. And the frustrating part, it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't want it badly enough. You've been trying. You've been attempting to willpower your way through this, and it hasn't worked. Here's what nobody told you. You can't willpower your way to a disciplined life. The approach itself is the problem. And until you change the approach, you'll be having this exact same conversation with yourself in January. Again, there is a better way, and I'm going to walk you through it right now.
My name is Major. I spent the past several years studying the psychology and neuroscience behind why smart, ambitious people like you, consistently fail to follow through on the things they say matter most to them. Not because you lack drive, not because your goals aren't real, but because nobody ever sat you down and explained how your brain actually works when it comes to making decisions. And here's the truth the research keeps confirming. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's not something you either have or you don't. It's a system. And once you understand how it works, you can engineer it to work for you. In the next 14 minutes, I'm going to give you 4 frameworks that will change how you relate to discipline. Not by making you harder, by making the hard thing feel natural. Before the frameworks, I need to talk to you about willpower, because I know that's what you've been using, and I know why it keeps failing you. Stanford psychologist Roy Baumeister spent decades studying self-control. What he found is that willpower is a finite resource. It depletes throughout the day. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every time you push through something you don't want to do, it all draws from the same limited tank. This is called ego depletion. And it's why you eat the entire bag of crisps at 10 p.m. after a day of eating clean. It's not weakness, it's depletion. You've been running on empty by the time that moment hits. You've been blaming yourself for something that is literally just biology. Now here's what should change how you see this entirely. Wendy Wood, a researcher at USC, studied people who appeared to have exceptional discipline. What she found surprised almost everyone. They didn't use more willpower than you. They used less. They had set up their lives, their habits, their environments, their routines so cleverly that the right behavior barely required any conscious effort at all. The discipline was built into the structure of their day. They weren't gritting their teeth every morning. The system did the heavy lifting for them. That's the shift. That's what I'm about to show you. You're not trying to become harder. You're trying to become smarter about how you operate. Step 1. You need to understand your dopamine system and then use it against itself. Here's what you probably think dopamine is: the pleasure chemical, the reward your brain gives you after you do something good. That's not quite right, and the difference matters more than you think. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It fires before the reward, in the wanting, not the having. When you scroll your phone, your brain isn't being rewarded by the content. It's chasing the possibility of the next interesting thing, the variable reward. Same mechanism as a slot machine. That's why you can spend 45 minutes on your phone and feel completely empty afterward. The dopamine was in the seeking, not the finding. Now here's why this matters for you specifically. Every time you skip the gym and stay in bed, your brain is logging a data point. Sleep felt good immediately. The gym's reward, being fitter, having more energy, that's delayed by months. Your brain literally cannot feel that reward right now, so it deprioritizes it. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's optimizing for right now. And until you work with that, you'll keep losing the negotiation every morning. So here's what you do instead. You don't fight it, you use it. The strategy is called dopamine stacking. You attach an immediate, genuine reward to the disciplined behavior before the long-term reward arrives. Say you want to go to the gym, but you dread it every morning. Here's what you do. You only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast at the gym.
Nowhere else. Only there. Now your brain isn't calculating gym versus comfort. It's calculating podcast versus no podcast. And suddenly, the gym is where the thing you already want lives. Over time, your brain starts associating the gym with that anticipation. The dopamine fires before you even get there. You start looking forward to going. Not because the gym changed, because the immediate reward changed. This works for anything. An audiobook you only play on runs. A specific playlist that only goes on during deep work. A coffee you only make right before the habit you're trying to build. You're not tricking yourself. You're giving the part of your brain that runs on instinct a reason it actually understands to do what the rational part of you already wants. Real quick, if this is already shifting something for you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who need it. And if you want to keep getting content like this, hit subscribe. Step 2. Stop setting goals. Start changing your identity. I know how that sounds. Stay with me for a second. The way you've been approaching discipline, the way almost everyone does, is through outcomes. You want to lose weight. You want to save money. You want to finish the project. The goal is the destination, and the discipline is how you get there. And here's the fundamental problem with that. Once you reach the goal, or fail to reach it, the behavior stops. Because it was always in service of the outcome, never in service of who you are. James Clear talks about 3 levels of change: outcomes, processes, and identity. Most people try to change outcomes directly. The people who actually build lasting discipline change their identity first and let everything else follow. Here's what that looks like in practice. When you say, "I'm trying to go to the gym," trying is optional. Trying has an exit. Every time it gets hard, your brain opens that exit and walks through it. But when you say, "I'm someone who doesn't miss training," that's identity. You don't negotiate with your identity. You just act in alignment with it. Now, I'm not saying you need to believe that about yourself yet. You might not. That's fine. Identity is built through evidence. Small, repeated actions that cast votes for the kind of person you are becoming. You don't need to transform overnight. You just need to go once, and after, say to yourself, "I'm the kind of person who shows up." That's 1 vote. Then twice. Then 10 times. Enough votes and the identity shifts. And once it shifts, the discipline isn't something you're forcing anymore. It's just who you are. So next time you're sitting there avoiding the thing you said you'd do, don't ask yourself, "Do I feel like doing this?" That question is rigged. You'll almost always say no. Ask instead, what would the version of me I'm building actually do right now? That question changes everything because it makes the discipline choice feel like self-expression. Step 3. Design your environment before you need willpower. This is the one most people skip, and it makes the fastest difference of all 4 frameworks. I want you to genuinely absorb this next idea because it changed how I think about everything. Wendy Wood's research says, you do not rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your environment. Read that again. You fall to the level of your environment. Your space is not neutral. Every single object in your home, every default in your routine, every friction point in your day, it is either working for you or it is working against you. There is no neutral. B.J. Fogg at Stanford built his entire career studying this. His core principle is simple. Make the right behavior easier and the wrong behavior harder. Not more virtuous, not more inspiring, just physically easier or harder to access. Here's what that looks like for you specifically. If you want to go to the gym in the morning, put your gym clothes out the night before, right there on the floor. First thing you see when you wake up. Your brain processes the gym as the path of least resistance before the alarm has even stopped ringing. If you want to stop scrolling your phone at night, put the charger in another room, not beside your bed, another room. Midnight scrolling now requires getting out of bed. That friction stops you almost every time, not because you became more disciplined, because you made the undisciplined choice harder.
If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. Write on it. Your brain defaults to what is right in front of it. If you want to eat better, don't have the junk food in the house at all. You cannot eat what isn't there. None of those are acts of willpower. Every single one of them is a decision you make once, and then it works for you every day without you thinking about it. The most powerful version of this is what I call designing for defaults. The question isn't, how do I motivate myself to do the right thing? The question is, how do I make the right thing the default, the thing that happens automatically? Look at your space right now. Is it designed for the life you want to live or for the life you've been living? Because your environment will keep producing the same results until you change it. If you're still here, honestly, that already tells me something about you. Make sure you're subscribed so the next video finds you. The last framework is the one most people dismiss as too simple. It's the one that makes everything else actually work. Step 4, and I need you to not dismiss this because it sounds simple. Let me ask you something. How many times have you been sitting on the couch knowing you should go to the gym, and the gym itself didn't feel hard? Getting off the couch felt impossible. You know exactly what I mean, because once you're there, you're fine. Once you've opened the document and written the first sentence, you're fine. Once you've started the thing you've been avoiding all week, you're fine. The resistance isn't in the doing, it's almost always in the starting. Psychologists call this activation energy, the initial effort required to begin a behavior. And here's the part that gets most people. Your brain assesses the cost of starting before it assesses the actual difficulty of the task. So if starting feels hard, your brain registers the entire thing as hard, even when it isn't. James Clear's 2-minute rule works directly on this. When you're struggling to start a habit, scale it down to something that takes 2 minutes or less, not as the permanent version of the habit, as the entry point. Don't go to the gym. Put on your gym clothes. Don't write a chapter. Open the document. Don't meditate for 20 minutes. Sit down and take 3 breaths. Don't read for an hour. Read 1 page. I know it sounds too small, but here's what actually happens. The 2-minute version isn't the goal, it's the door. And the research shows consistently that once you start, even this minimally, you are dramatically more likely to continue. Because action creates momentum, and momentum is what you've been trying to manufacture through willpower, exhausting yourself in the process. There's also a neurological reason this works. Every time you cross the threshold of a behavior, even the smallest version of it, your brain strengthens the neural pathway for starting that behavior. You practice starting. Starting gets easier. The activation energy drops. Over time, the door becomes lighter. So here's the only thing I want you to change this week. Stop asking yourself, am I going to the gym today? Start asking, am I putting on my gym clothes? Answer that question, just that one, because once the clothes are on, you and I both know what happens next. The smallest version of the right behavior done consistently will beat the perfect version done occasionally, every single time. I know that sounds too simple. Do it anyway. Here's how these 4 frameworks work together. Because on their own, each one is useful, but together they are a completely different way of operating. You redesign your environment so the right choice is the easy choice. You use dopamine stacking so your brain actually wants to start. You frame every small action as a vote for the identity you're building. And when resistance still shows up, because it will, you use the 2-minute rule to make starting so small your brain has nothing to argue with. This is not about becoming a different person. This is about understanding the person you already are and building the conditions where discipline starts to happen almost automatically. The people you look at and think, how are they so consistent? They're not harder than you. They just stop relying on motivation and build systems instead. You can do the same, and you can start today. Let me come back to where we started. 3 months gone, the goal sitting somewhere between forgotten and postponed.
I didn't bring that up to make you feel bad. I brought it up because 9 months of this year are still in front of you. 9 months. That is enough time to build a habit so deeply embedded that it stops requiring discipline at all. That is enough time to shift your identity, to become the version of yourself you keep writing down in January. That is enough time for the system to do what willpower never could. But only if you change the approach. You've been fighting your brain. I need you to start working with it. The 4 frameworks are not complicated. Dopamine stacking, identity-based habits, environment design, the 2-minute rule. Pick one. Just one. Apply it this week. Not all 4, one. Because the gap between who you are right now and who you keep promising yourself you'll become, it's not talent, it's not motivation, it's not circumstances. It's the decision to stop doing the same thing and expecting it to work differently this time. Make that decision today. I'm Major. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Stay superior.